Let's jump into another deep dive today.
Hmm.
And today we're going to be looking at learning English,
Okay.
but with like a really specific focus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's using your daily routines to kind of
Yeah.
effortlessly work in some English practice
Mm-hmm.
into your everyday life.
I like it.
So to guide us on this deep dive,
Mhm.
we've got some excerpts from
Um,
Pasted Text. And
cool.
yeah, we're going to see what we can learn from that.
All right.
And hopefully help all of you listening figure out how to
Sounds good.
work in some more English practice without it feeling like a chore.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just part of your
Yeah,
day.
totally.
Yeah.
So one of the things I noticed right away
Okay.
looking at these excerpts is how much it emphasizes daily routine vocabulary,
Right.
which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a really great approach because it's like, when you're learning a language, it can feel really overwhelming.
Right.
But if you start with the things that you do every single day, the words and phrases that you need to just get through your day,
Yeah.
then it makes it feel a lot more manageable.
Yeah.
Right. And you start to build this like foundation,
Yeah.
a vocabulary that you can then build upon.
So instead of kind of like going in and being like, well, I need to learn all these crazy grammar rules or all these,
Right.
super complicated words. It's
Exactly.
like, let's just start with like the everyday stuff.
Yeah, like think about it, if you could just walk into a coffee shop and confidently order your coffee in English,
Right.
like that would feel amazing.
Totally. Yeah, that would be a great feeling.
Right. And it would motivate you to keep going.
Totally. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I think that's a really good point.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing I noticed that Pasted Text mentioned was like sample daily routine conversations.
Right.
So I'm curious, do you think that kind of role playing is actually helpful for people?
Oh, absolutely. I think it can feel a little silly at first,
Yeah.
like if you're sitting there by yourself,
Right.
talking to an imaginary person.
Right.
But the more you practice these everyday dialogues, the more those words and phrases become like second nature to you.
Right.
So instead of like memorizing a flashcard that says, I wake up at 7 a.m., you're actually using it in a sentence,
Right.
in a context.
Yeah. So could you give us an example
Yeah.
of like how that might sound?
Sure, yeah. So let's say you're chatting with an English-speaking colleague at work.
Okay.
You could say something like, good morning, I had kind of a late start today. I didn't wake up until 7:30.
And then they might say something like, oh, no worries. I'm not really a morning person myself. I usually don't wake up until 8 or something.
Yeah, exactly. And see how easily those phrases just kind of flow in a real conversation.
Right.
And it's not just about,
Very good.
the vocabulary, it's also about the grammar.
Right.
Right. So Pasted Text also mentions some grammar tips for daily conversations.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, the grammar part is really intimidating.
Oh, yeah, for sure, I think. People get really hung up on grammar rules.
Right.
But I think the great thing about learning grammar in the context of daily routines is that you already understand the actions.
Right.
You wake up, you eat breakfast, you go to work. You're living these routines every day. So the grammar is just a way of like
Right.
putting those actions into words.
So it's more about like using it as a tool
Exactly.
rather than like memorizing a bunch of rules.
Yeah, I mean, the rules are important, but
Right.
they're not the be-all and end-all.
Right. Yeah. So for example, Pasted Text mentions the present simple tense
Mm-hmm.
and how that's really often used in talking about routines. But
Right, because it's something you do habitually.
Yeah.
Every day.
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But then you can like make it a little more descriptive by adding adverbs. Right. So instead of just saying, I eat breakfast, you can say, I eat breakfast quickly.
Right, exactly. Or I eat breakfast slowly,
Right.
or I eat breakfast while I'm reading the newspaper.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're adding more detail.
Yeah.
and making it more interesting.
Yeah, no, I like that. So we talked about the vocabulary, the conversation practice, the grammar. But I also think one thing that's really cool that Pasted Text mentions is cultural insights.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, language and culture are so intertwined, you can't really separate them. And even something as simple as meal times can be really different in different cultures.
Right.
Like, in Spain, people often eat dinner really late, like 10 p.m. or later.
Wow. Okay, so if you were to invite a Spanish friend over for dinner
Mm-hmm.
at like 6 p.m.,
Right.
they might be a little confused.
We might wonder where the main course is, yeah.
Yeah, totally. So I think it's really interesting to kind of think about those things.
Yeah, and it's all about just being aware of those differences so you can avoid any awkward situations
Right.
and really connect with people.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, we've covered vocabulary, we've covered the conversation practice, we've covered grammar, cultural insights.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we actually make language learning part of our daily lives?
Right. Well, Pasted Text mentions things like interactive segments and pronunciation practice. And I think the key is to find what works for you and make it fun, right?
Yeah.
So interactive segments could be like language learning apps or online forums where you can chat with other learners.
Right.
And pronunciation practice could be listening to podcasts or even singing along to your favorite English songs.
Yeah. So it's about like finding what you enjoy and then just doing it regularly.
Exactly. Consistency is key because the more you immerse yourself in the language, the more naturally it's going to come to you.
Yeah, for sure. So
No.
it really doesn't have to be a chore.
No.
It can just be part of your everyday life.
Yeah, just little things here and there that add up over time.
Yeah, totally. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive today, but I do want to leave everyone listening with a final thought. What's one small step you can take today to incorporate English into your routine?
Right.
Maybe it's ordering your coffee in English. Maybe it's saying good morning to a neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is, just try it.
Yeah, just give it a go.
And remember, every little effort counts.
Absolutely.
So keep practicing, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.
See you later.